TFL EV is brought to you by Flow Charger, maker of reliable, high-quality charging stations for your electric vehicle.
Howdy folks, Nathan here with a question for you. Have you ever wondered about actual range in cold weather? Especially if you own a vehicle that you actually store in your garage and it's electric and you want to actually go to work. Yeah. We haven't really done that yet. Not really. So, okay, what we're going to do is we have a 2023 Volvo XC40 Recharge Twin All-Wheel Drive Ultimate. That's a lot to say. And it right now is at about 69% charge. Now, its maximum range is about 230 miles. However, because it's at 69%, it's a lot less. Now, according to the vehicle, it can go between 190 miles or 100 miles. So, what if we take it out in what is about 35-degree weather from a nice 65-degree toasty garage and try to go 100 miles? Well, that's what we're going to do right now. So, without further delay, I am going to open up the garage. A little cold out there. And we're going to hit the road, and I'm going to drive normal. I'm not going to hypermile or anything else. Let's see what happens. And we're off. We're leaving TFL, which is great because I think the toilets are backing up, and I forgot to tell Roman. Just kidding. I'm not kidding. What we're going to do is we're going to take a couple surface streets for the next, say, 4 miles, leading to Highway 36, and then we'll get on to the 470, which is a toll road. However, it's one that you can go 75 miles per hour on legally. And that's exactly what we're going to do. I'm not going to hypermile this car. I'm not going to use any of the energy usage aids that this car has. As you can see here, it says it has 180 miles on the top. Maximum range, 130 is what it thinks we'll get. And down here, 95 is what we could get. And I have a feeling it's going to get a lot closer to the lower number, because once again, I'm not driving this thing sparingly, not at all. So let's quickly talk about the car. A 78 kilowatt hour battery, which is pretty beefy. A range of 230 miles isn't great, but remember, this does have all-wheel drive, so you're talking about more than one electric motor powering this vehicle, which output is 402 horsepower, 402. Now that is pretty impressive. And I can tell you off the line, this thing launches pretty hard. It is really built to be very similar to its brother, the XC40, with the gas engine, right? But you drive it like an electric car, which means that you can do essentially one-pedal driving, which is what I have here. So poor Alex, who's behind the camera, is going to suffer from me pulling off the accelerator like I'm going to do right now. And essentially the car is just like, yeah, hitting the brakes. That's one-pedal braking. And we'll talk about electric vehicles versus gas vehicles on this trip. We're going to talk about a few things. But essentially what we wanted to figure out, now it has gone a little bit warmer. It is almost 39 degrees. It's been bouncing between 37 and 39. And so it is warmer, but it is still cool enough to affect the batteries. So we're going to see whether or not that is actually an issue. Of course, I'd like to do this in freezing weather. That was the goal, but it didn't work out that way. But this is real world testing, right? So let's see what happens. Okay, this just popped up. I didn't touch a damn button, I swear. By the way, this is a 12.3 inch screen right here. Not my favorite in terms of layout. I wonder if I hit a button if it'll do something. Look at this, press and hold home button to deactivate. I don't understand why I did that in the first place. There it goes, it's all back. Good, we can finally get rid of Roman's on Broadway station and do something that Alex and I want to listen to, which would be probably, I don't know, heavy metal or punk rock. Alex is a surfer from what I've been told, so she likes the punk rock. So for the past 5 minutes, Alex and I have been trying to figure out the heating air conditioning system. Honestly, I really do prefer solid buttons where you can slide something or turn something to make it happen. In order for this to work, you really do have to go into the screen, and then from there, you have to tell it which direction you want the air to come out of. And I know that if I owned the vehicle for a while, it would be a lot easier to use, but it is unnecessarily difficult. They've kind of taken the German route on heating and air conditioning, and frankly, I think that's unnecessary. Okay, I don't know if this is good news or bad news, but we're already down to 67%. We haven't even gotten on the highway yet, and I think that part of that has to do with the fact that it's relatively cold outside. So the batteries that were conditioned for a warm environment in the garage, like they are with any garage, do have to deal with the fact that there's colder pressure and temperatures outside that they have to work through. And that in itself can really make a battery drain quickly. And as we're driving quickly, that's going to work against the battery as well. So yeah, we're just hitting the highway now, and speeds are going to increase dramatically. All right, as you can see there, got the cruise control set at 75 miles per hour, and I'll be on this highway for another 30 miles before we make a change and then progressively work our way back. It's going to be about 100 miles total. I think it's going to be just under that. But what we're seeing right now is that it's not happy with my energy usage with speed. Big surprise there. That only turns orange once you start going fast. Driving style, it's saying that I'm really chill, because you guys know I am. And climate control, because we can't figure the damn thing out, it has barely been used. But these are all factors in terms of usage. So the more speed, obviously, if I'm messing around with my driving style and slam on the accelerator constantly and not the brakes, so the regenerative braking is not really being used, well, frankly, it just means energy is going out and nothing's coming back. Now, if I took this off of cruise control, and if I was going between 65 and 75 and letting the regenerative system work, I probably could get a couple extra miles out of this, but I'm not going to do that because that's not how I normally drive, and that's kind of the point. All right, we are currently at 44 miles. We're getting off on our exit, which is right here, and we're going to simply turn around. Now, here's the thing. We're at 44.1 miles, and according to this, on our worst day, we're going to get 60 miles, but it says we have 85 miles left. So the temperature has gone up a little bit, which has helped, but we still dropped quite a bit in a very short distance. Now the question is, getting back on the highway, going back to 75 miles per hour, will this drop significantly in a short amount of time? I say yes. Okay, we just exited the main highway. We're going to go on to the other highway. According to this, we're between 65 and 35 miles range. We have about 10 miles left to go, so I don't see a problem getting there. It's also 43 degrees now, so it definitely has gone up. It didn't melt the mileage as quickly as I expected. Now, there may be a couple things going on here that you have to keep in mind aside from temperature. Battery tech has improved every year. Not necessarily the chemical makeup of the batteries, but how the battery is actually used and exploited when you're powering. And you can look at it the same way you're looking at cell phone tech. It's not like you're just taking one battery and tapping into it. In many cases, you could be using several little batteries or several different batteries, and then there's a certain amount of energy that's being deployed at a certain time. And I think that in this case, in this Volvo, it's done a very good job of maintaining a certain charge and figuring out the way I'm driving and extending that mileage more than I anticipated, which is great. That's good news for you guys if you're into this Volvo. I'm still not thrilled with the fact that it gets a 230 mile range. I mean, the Chevy Bolt does better, but once again, this has all-wheel drive and it's fairly luxurious and it's kind of brick-shaped because it's a Volvo. And by the way, the drive has been very pleasant for a small vehicle with the short wheelbase. It has been very good on rough surfaces, on highways. As we've been cruising, it's not that loud inside. And yeah, overall, it drives like a Volvo, which I think is a good thing. It's in the 40s. Somewhat cold temperatures has affected the battery a little bit, but it recouped. And it was actually able to get better mileage than I anticipated. It's not going to be the same way with all vehicles out there. There are going to be some cars out there that don't condition the batteries the same way. they don't heat the batteries the same way, or perhaps the batteries are different. And they can be a little bit different. It's not just one company that produces batteries, bear in mind. It also depends on environmental factors, which we've just proven with cold weather and driving. And frankly, I think Volvo's done a fantastic job with how they've packaged this car, because it's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. And I haven't had too many issues in terms of maintaining exactly the mileage I wanted with the range. It's much better than I expected. By the way, we are now pulling up to TFL, and we're at 89.2 miles, so just a hair under 90 miles. Much better than its worst case scenario. So yeah, we're gonna plug it in and close this thing out. Okay. So it's official. Just a hair under 90 miles, and we started with 69% of the battery, and we're down to 20% of the battery. And that's not too bad at all. It was actually much better than I anticipated. So, what does that mean for your average driver? Well, that means that they're able to get, I believe, truly that exact amount. They're able to get, there. They're able to get 230 miles pretty reliably. It was pretty cold earlier this morning, so it dealt with it just fine. By the way, the car itself drove just fine. I think it looks pretty good too. But this wasn't a review of the car, it was a review of the battery and how it reacts in this environment. One final point is that this particular Recharge model, which is fully loaded, $62,000. It's a little pricey. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time. Adios.